And then Sam Darnold, I think you heard Kyle Shanahan saying, why can't he be the next Steve Young? And I think his analogy there is it did take you many chances to get the opportunity you got in San Francisco.
What he's saying, Rich, is that he sucked, and then he can be really good. And
no, I don't think he said that. I don't think he said that. You know,
I didn't suck for that long, but yeah, he did suck early. Oh, yeah.
No, I think it was his saying that, it took.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I think it's what it says. Tyler and I are good friends, and what he's saying as I think, a compliment to what he believes Sam can be, and why I think that Trey is squeezed, because I think that Kyle has fallen for Sam as a developmental project to be something great as well, and Sam has that size and strength and arm strength, and end of fourth quarter kind of can go up against Jalen Hurts and Patrick and Josh and in those championship games, Super Bowl games, and kind of do stuff. So theoretically, right now, I think that's why Trey is so squeezed.
Okay, so what do you think of Darnold? And let me rephrase that. Darnold was brought in initially as Purdy insurance or Lance insurance, do you think, Steve?
I think Sam came in because Sam was smart and realized, I am getting killed out here. I am not showing who I could possibly be because I'm not in a place where they take care of quarterbacks. And there used to be 3 or 4 places that took care of quarterbacks back 20, 30 years ago. Now there's 10 or 15. There's a lot of great spots for quarterbacks, but there's still some terrible spots. And so Sam realized, if I'm going to go somewhere, then my next stop is a place that takes care of the quarterback and gives me the opportunity to see how good I can get instead of how bad I can get. And so he went to the 49ers and said, look, what is it going to – I don't care what you pay me. I'm coming here. And so Sam chose this. 49ers weren't going to pay up for Sam Darnold. So Sam made that happen. And so Sam realized, if I'm going to be great, I got to go someplace that can help me be great. And he found it. And I think Kyle really admires that. And that's how it happened. He wasn't brought in. Sam kind of made it happen. And I think the 49ers are the beneficiaries of it. And that's why, again, Trey is in this spot where he's hurt. He's trying to get back. He's trying to get an opportunity. He's trying to develop. He's trying to show that he can. And then here comes Sam Darnold to take those reps away in summer camp.
And that's the conundrum with Trey Lance, isn't it, Steve? Is that Lance, the general consensus, and I think it's wise, is that he just needs reps. He just didn't have the time in his last year in college, and then didn't have the time in his first 2 years as a pro for various reasons out of his own control. And now he's not going to have the time when he's healthy or is as focused on his craft as he's ever been. And so you said he's worked on the stuff he wasn't good at. What are those? And what advice do you have for him at this juncture?
My advice is claw your way to stay here, because again, there's a lot of places that he would go that he's not going to find out those answers, and he's going to flail because he doesn't have the opportunity. And so just figure out a way to stay here so he can continue to develop in a place, or if it is somewhere else, just pray that it's one of those, half a dozen teams that can take care of quarterbacks. But what he was not good at, he could process. I have no problem with his ability to process. His arm couldn't do the things that his mind was saying to do, and so it was haywire. And there was a lot of talk about changing his motion, and he went through that process and tried to change it, and then they realized he can't. I don't know why these quarterback gurus think they can take a throwing motion and go, okay, we don't like that. We're going to have you do it like Dan Marino. And I went through that same thing. It's like, finally, it's like, no, let him cook. I remember the first time I saw Joe Montana throw the football in the big windmill thing. I'm like, wait, I don't have to beat Dan Marino? It's like, no, he wins Super Bowls with a windmill. I'm like, oh. And then you can start to throw like you throw. So Trey went through this weird thing where they tried to change his motion and tried to fix what they thought was wrong. And Trey will never be the most elite thrower of the football. But I think he's trying to develop into a good enough thrower of the football that his presence and his skill level and his processing can kind of match up and really be a good to great quarterback. And so that's what he's going through. And you've seen Even in the preseason games, there's some throws you're like, whoa, hold on. And then there's some great throws that are intuitive and just the flick of a wrist, and that's what keeps you coming back. And so I think Trey has worked on finally putting behind him all this people that are trying to fix him and trying to embrace who he kind of fundamentally is and then extend on that. And I think that's what's happened this offseason, which I think has been very profitable. And at little windows, I can see that improvement. I can actually see him starting to gain a little confidence. Trey is somebody that doesn't come in and is like, oh, I'm overconfident. I know what I'm doing. He comes in, he's a humble dude. And so he's more realistic about it, and you sense that. Like, I'm not that confident. I think he's every game, every practice kind of like, you know what, I think I can do this. And so I hope that he somewhere can kind of find out the full measure of who he is.
So do you think the final week of the preseason changes anything? Or, week one, I mean, obviously Purdy's going to be the week one guy, Steve, and the question is should he have anything close to like Pennsylvania jinx because they're going to be in Pittsburgh? Don't you think Kyle will feel more comfortable with Darnold than Lance right now? And that is not a knock. It is just
the one thing I give John Lynch, the GM, and Kyle Shanahan, head coach, credit is they can move and shake. They are not locked in.
Right.
That's how they've managed Jimmy G and with Trey and all the rest of it. They've done. They've figured out a way to make it happen, and they've gotten close to Super Bowls every year, and they've got the most out of Jimmy. They're going to get the most out of Brock, and I think they still can get the most out of Trey. So I think Trey has it. Let's say Trey has another kind of developing game where you see something you're like, wow, that was special, or that was because the last couple of drives last week were like, let's do that more, and that was awesome. And so I think it's possible that he could have a big game, and then you know what? We're going to continue to develop him. Let's do it. Let's put him at number 2. I doubt it because I think there's something about Sam that Kyle has really taken to. That's why, if you listen to Kyle closely, Rich, he tells you exactly what he's going to do. Not openly and like out front, but if you listen close,
yes,
Brock is the real deal. Brock starting. Brock is the guy.
Right.
Sam can be this transformational quarterback, and he has a potential for a Hall of Fame career. Pretty much he likes him. You know what I mean? So I think long answer to your straightforward question is I think Trey's in a tough spot. But do they keep him as number 3 on the rookie contract and kind of keep trying? I don't know. I would.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.